Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
We are back with our leader and our coach. Coaching for Relevance is the name of the company. And boy, oh boy, you are in for a treat. If you're not aware who Randy Swaim is, you will soon. As an author, as a leader, as a pilot, as a coach, he does so much and really helps others see. You say that leadership is not a rank that you achieve, but it's an approach to the life that you adopt. So let's get started. How are you today?
Cool. Good. I'm doing great. And with something you said about the aspect of true leadership, is going to be a key central point that I bring today. And I'll be bringing a little bit of neuroscience awareness and application to it, but also strategic, planning and things of that nature that sometimes people don't think about. So I'll be glad to do that today. It's a critical concept for people to realize, and what I'll do, if you want me to, I'll go ahead and get started.
Please do so. What do we
Yeah,
have on?
cool.
I love it. Go for it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, the big thing that is a lot of people don't realize is that, so often today managers think that when they've been selected as a manager for a group or something like that, that their job is to just simply point fingers and tell people what to do. And that is not leadership, and that's not really bringing radical success to your team. And I will say that I shared on my social media today a uh, a quote that I got from, and that was I just shared it because it was very good. And here's the aspect of it, and it simply said this. It said, "The day you stop learning is the day you stop growing." And and there's a lot of truth to that, particularly when you're talking about situations that are not just rote academic and not just, superficial and things of that nature. And if your managers are just simply there trying to tell people what to do,
Mm-hmm.
you have to understand you're not being a true leader, and you're not developing them. And if you think about it, when you understand this concept of learning, guess what? A key aspect of true learning is in neuroscience, the ability to process the thinking. It's not just the manager telling them what to do or telling them their version of the truth or whatever. You do that and you're having them shut their brain off and just throw it aside and just go with what you say and stuff. And if you do that, you are not growing anymore. Your team is not growing anymore, and nothing is becoming in your team. And what that means is the radical success down the road
Mm-hmm.
may never be achieved. And so it's just something that a lot of people don't uh, have a sense of, but it's this aspect of processing the thinking. And when you're connecting with your people, are you connecting with them in a way that they are actually learning, not because of something you tell them, but because of something they see in you, something that they're aware of you, something that they're learning through you, and something that's coming across, and in fact, I think you've heard me say this, and I know it's in my autobiography, and I think I shared this on the Hollywood movie documentary that's getting close to going out there and everything. But you've probably heard me say this before, that the most amazing leaders that I've ever worked with were not people that I learned something because of something they
Mm-hmm.
told me. They were true leaders, and I so learned and developed because of what I observed in them and how they interacted and how they made decisions and all of that sort of stuff. And that actually brings that sort of processing ability in the neuroscience aspect to play. And it's just something that a lot of people don't understand on this stuff. But what I'll also do is share this aspect of strategic thinking, because I'll tell you what, if you think as a manager your job is to just tell your people what to do and they should just shut up and do what you tell them to do and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, you're
No.
not leading, you're not preparing for radical success. You're not doing anything that, and you're telling them to just shut their brains off and do what you tell them to do. Because I'm going to give you the excuse for it. I'm going to give you the reason for it. Well, guess what? That reason may not be exactly correct. There
True.
may be factors that are related to it that you don't see, and and maybe they could if you didn't shut their brains off automatically. And so when you think about this, so often in today's world, in a lot of places, I'm not saying every place, but a lot of places, when you think of strategic planning on, what, some kind of mission that your team is working on, kind of thing. Um, it's so often you see managers that say, okay, we're supposed to do this, so here we're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do that, you're going to do that, we're doing this, and leaving it at that. And you know what? The struggle with that, and I think I've mentioned it just in a simple way a couple of times in previous shows, you know, some time ago and stuff. But the bottom line is, you shut your brain off and you stop growing if you
Mm,
think that every circumstance is going to be what you thought it would be. Because guess what? In today's
mm.
world, and this is very organizational maneuverability aligned, in today's world, as you go forward, there are some factors that can come on that you would have never expected.
Oh,
And when you think of this aspect of it, one of the things that I have done in the past in working with people that were working for me when I was their manager and their leader, one of the things that, when we were talking about a certain aspect of what we're moving toward and what we're accomplishing, some of the questions that I would ask them, and it's just to get their brain thinking and processing and preparing, kind of thing. Because sometimes the questions that I would ask were simply
yeah.
like this, and I would say, well, I'll tell you what, if the one factor that would come on the
Mm-hmm.
scene that would make you feel like this can't get done, what would that be? What do you think that would be? And it gets them sort of processing that a little bit to get a sense of that. And it's not just a rote academic thing, but it's
Yeah.
an aspect about who they are and what their thinking is and what can get in the way and what can throw them aside. And also with the team, of the people that are on your team, what are some of the factors that your team sees and watches for? And the next question that I would very often ask them is simply this: if that happens, what do you need to do? And I get them sort of processing it for their mental awareness and strategic vision of when that may start to happen,
Okay.
but also, uh, giving them sort of a picture of what they and the other members of the team feel like would be a good, way to minimize the negative impact. And when you're thinking of strategic planning like this, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, but when your team is going forward, guess what? You may have some things that you think are going to be coming on board that are going to be bad or
Yeah.
restricting or whatever. But, and here's a key, guess what? You may have somebody on your team that, because of their
Yep.
background and their experience and and their education and what they've learned, guess
Yeah.
what? There might be something where they see that, what, that seems like it's kind of negative, but you know what? There might be something with that that gets us higher than when we started and what we were thinking about. And that's a good conversation to have sometimes, because guess what? If they may be aware of something that could get you to a higher level of success than you even thought about or you even envisioned, possibly because of their background or whatever. And so, as a leader, in what ways do you have, can you share, some of those conversations to prepare them for the journey? Because if you're just shutting their brain off and throwing it aside and saying, do what I tell you to do, just to, you know, and I mentioned this on a couple of shows quite a while back. You'll probably remember me saying this before, but you'd be surprised at how many times I've heard managers say, well, this should have been like this. Well, guess what? It wasn't. Are you
Mhm.
aware when you're moving forward in an organizational maneuverability concept, when you're moving forward, are you aware of how this may be a little bit different, how this may come on the scene a little different than you expected? And how are you going to respond? How are you going to do that? How are you going to make that happen in a positive way? And things of that nature. And and it's just a really key aspect of it that a lot of people don't even think about, because you have a lot of people that are just thinking rote academic, and you have a lot of people that are just thinking, well, okay, kind of thing or whatever, rather than truly understanding the brain and how it works, understanding the process, but also if you're not asking your team members some of those great questions. And a lot of people, and you probably have seen this a little bit, and I don't mean with PBNN or whatever, but I mean in
Mhm.
just people around and stuff. Uh, a lot of times people will ask questions, but the only question I'm asking is because I want you to give me my answer.
Yeah.
And you know what? That is not necessarily leading, because you're shutting them down. Because if they think you're just trying to get your answer, they're shutting off their thinking, and you're not getting it to where it needs to be. And so it's just something to think about, that when you're talking about the true aspect of leadership, and like I said, that little part of it at the beginning that I mentioned, where it's like I said, the day you stop learning is the day you stop growing. And I would add, the day you stop becoming. And the bottom line is, like with me, I mean, I so appreciate the people that I connect with NPN Hub and Institute for Organizational Neuroscience in Germany, and a lot of stuff. Uh, People at Podcast Business News Network, and all of this, and I so appreciate that, because you know
Yeah.
what, I'm 71 years old, and you know what,
Mm.
it's not like I'm learning a whole lot that's brand new, but I'm catching more visions in, you know, where I'm going and what this is happening. And I think I've shared this with you one time maybe, but I've had a lot of people ask me when I'm going to retire. And I look at them and I go, you know what? When I take my
What?
last breath, that's
Mhm.
right. I say, when I take my last breath, because you know what? For me, I'm going to run through the tape. And that's something that a lot of people don't realize, because a lot of people mentally, and it's part of the narcissistic sort of self-interested arrogance sometimes that exists. A lot of people, when they gain a certain position, and maybe in a company or whatever, they just want to say, okay, well, I've made it here. Everybody just give me applause. Pat me on the back, and talk me up and everything. And I'm just going to kind of sit here and do it. What kind of thing?
Yeah.
If that is your mindset, either subtly or very obviously, if that is your mindset, you're not
Oof.
developing your team, you're not leading, and you're not becoming even more, because whatever level somebody has become, there's
Yeah.
higher that you can get if you're still taking your breath and everything. So it's just something to think about, that like I say, a lot of people don't fully understand, but it really does incorporate the aspect of neuroscience and the mental processing and understanding. And, in an organizational maneuverability concept where, and as you know, that's a concept that's, you know, certified for me out of Washington and
Yeah.
stuff. But it's the organizational maneuverability concept. Guess what? Not everything fits rote academic things. And so whatever you're thinking about just in a rote academic thing, guess what? This thing may not fit that. And you can't be applauded just because you said, well, it should have been like this.
Yeah.
Because guess what? There's other factors that kind of come on scene sometimes. And is your team to the point? And the big thing that I'll just kind of close with this here in a minute is this aspect that when you're talking about truly leading your team,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just telling them what to do. It's bringing all that I just mentioned to play, but it's also the idea of, to what extent are you bringing your team's thinking together? And that doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you're just having them give you the right academic answers that you want to have. No, it's about getting their processing going and getting their
Okay.
thinking going. And a lot of times when you're talking about strategy and strategic aspects, the awareness of that and the awareness of when unique factors seem to be coming on scene, that is prepared even before that happens, a lot
Wow.
of ways. And if you think about it, of course, and I think you know this, Jill, that much of my background, I'm retired Air Force
Yeah.
and everything. And so a lot of my, um, um, process about 30, 35 years ago kind of thing was military. And you know what? When you're talking about military,
Mm-hmm.
and this is a good analogy of it, but when you're talking about military situations, not everything is just what you would expect. And are you ready to be able to still be victorious, even if it's a situation that is a little bit different than you expected? And the other thing that I'll just throw out to the managers out there is this picture, that to what extent, how comfortable are you
Yeah.
that when you are not there and that factor comes on scene because you're on vacation or
Yeah.
something, and that factor comes on scene, that your team can successfully achieve? And the bottom line is, to what extent are you not getting that done? And you need to do that better to develop that in them, because you know what? It's awesome. Now, a lot of people think that when I come back from vacation or something, or if I'm tied up with something and the team focuses on this that comes in board and they get, amazing and radical solutions there, sometimes a narcissistic manager will be uh, frustrated because they were not there to do it. But
Oh
guess
yeah.
what? A true leader sits there and applauds his people, his or her people, and it's to just really applaud them and to honor them for what they did. And guess what? If you had, asked them the right questions sometimes, or led them, and think about this, one of the key aspects of leadership is modeling. If you are modeling this aspect of the questions and the learning and the developing within yourself and all
Oh
this,
yeah.
guess what? That's part of leadership. It's not just about telling people what to do and all that sort of stuff. So it's just something to think about when you're looking at the aspect of true leadership, but also this aspect of the neuroscience and the mind. Because I'll tell you what, if you engage in them in such a way that they, you know, uh, you know, get angry, with the neurotransmitters and all, if they get frustrated or they feel like they're not part of your team, or why do I bother with this, and all that kind of stuff, you're not getting the job done. If you interact with them in such a positive way that they want to be there for you,
Yeah.
whether you're there or not, they want to be there for you. And that doesn't happen because you dictate and control them. And in fact, uh, and I'll just share this. I was very humbled when I learned that the podcast Business News Network people
As he
wanted
should be. Yes.
wanted to do the movie documentary and everything. And I didn't ask them. I didn't try to suggest it. And in fact, I had never really worked with them other than the fact that they saw the presentations here and stuff. And I
Yeah.
so appreciate each one of them that did a part of that. But it's just something to simple to think about,
They
that when you're
recognize talent when they see talent, Randy. Come on.
well,
And not
thank
just
you. I
talent, leadership, good people, and people that can help people. That's what life is about. People that are good, true people deserve to be highlighted, I think, and
Yeah.
other people to get to know them because they can only benefit from your graciousness, your kindness, and your support, which you offer all the time, everywhere you
And
go.
And thank you. And that's a
You're
key
welcome.
aspect of who I am and what I do and what my focus on it. It's not just calling attention to somebody, but it's, are you really making a difference
Yeah.
after you take your last breath, people are aware of the benefit that happened just perhaps while you were here and how other people are maybe different and better and all that kind of stuff. So it's yeah, just it's a good point that you're saying there. Yeah, and but it's but this is an important point. I just wanted to bring out this aspect of going forward, and it brings into account a little bit of the neuroscience, but also that sort of vision going forward. That are you doing it in such a way that it really makes a huge, huge difference. And because guess what? That's what leaders do, and it's just a key aspect of the kind of the difference that somebody's making when they are a leader, or whether they're just shutting things off and their people are not growing, and their people are not becoming. And when challenging situations come on the scene, it becomes a real fight and a real frustration rather than an awareness
Yeah.
and a decision making and a ability to get there. So just some things to think about. I thought I'd bring that aspect today.
Just some things. Always some things. When is your next vacation? Did you just have a vacation?
No, not yet. What
You
I'm doing is I know after the Hollywood movie is ready to be posted out there, they're they're wanting to fly me up to New York City to go into a professional television studio to do to be the guest and do an interview on the movie that it's out there and everything. And once I get word from that about your AEMG people and stuff, we'll be sorting that out. And that'll probably be my next vacation of taking a couple of days to do that.
so exciting. Oh my goodness. Really it is. And we still have 5 more minutes left in the show, Randy. How did you want to sum up for today?
Well, the big thing that you want to sum up for today is keep in mind, when you're talking about true leading, it's not just about control freak stuff. It's not
Okay.
just about threatening or whatever. When you understand this neuroscience aspect and this vision going forward in your strategic planning and things of that nature,
Um,
keep in mind that that true leadership is about, to be honest, it's about making something that in such a way that people want to be involved with what you're doing. They want to follow up, they want to enhance this. And guess what? Some of the people that work for you, because of their prior experience, they may
mm-hmm.
have insights that even you don't have, and they may kind of come up with, oh, you know what, and you kind
Mm-hmm.
of look at it and go, you know what, let's talk about that, let's talk about that and explore that. Because guess what? It might be that what they're bringing up has a unique aspect that gets to a higher level of result than you were thinking. And you never know. It could possibly happen. But you know what? If some of your people are thinking that way, guess what? It could be a benefit for you. And you know what? The people that work for me and all that, I want them thinking that way. I want them to be thinking about it. Now, if they're just trying to control everybody and make them do what they want them to do, okay, that's narcissistic. That's bad. But to have that vision and to have that understanding, and guess what? Some of the people that work for you may have some experience in their journey that
Yeah,
the others
it
don't
gets
have.
them.
And
Mm-hmm.
they may have some insights that nobody else had. And you know what? If you have some of those conversations and get some of that, amazing things can happen sometimes. So it's really about your team and what are you doing and how are you truly leading it, and not just dictating, not just playing the game, but truly leading it for radical results.
You are awesome, Randy.
Well, so are you, if you don't mind me saying so. I appreciate your friendship.
No, no, same here. Always full of energy, full of life, willing to help, and modest about his services and all he does. Now, you're based out of the Dallas Fort Worth area, right?
Yep.
When was the last time you were at the airport?
The last time I was at DFW Airport was this morning because that's where when I'm training pilots and all that kind of stuff and
Yeah.
talking to some of the colleagues, I'm over there. So,
So you have your own
so
special like parking spot over there?
actually I don't, but there's an area that we all park in when we go over there. So yeah, I don't have my own spot, but uh, it's very workable.
All right, I was gonna say, I'm like, they better not be charging you for parking with all the work you do there, and you're such a contribution, and it's amazing. So you're there a lot, and
Yeah.
any stories you want to share before we go about leadership of someone in particular that you've been working with, whether it's a pilot or not?
Well, I just what I would simply say is this that you see a lot of true leadership in a number of pilots in the way they are thinking. In fact, we've got two pilots that were coming through the initial training, and I had them yesterday for their very first sim session, their very first time flying this airplane, and seeing how they interacted and seeing how they got involved. Now, were they perfect? No, but they they met basic standards and stuff. But they were learning some as they go. But they had thought about it a lot and had planned a lot, and they had um, they're I think when they get to the point they're going to be ready for their check ride. So it's just but you know what? In aviation, when you think about this whole organizational
Yeah.
maneuverability concept, when you're talking about pilots that are flying together, guess what? Funky things can happen when you're flying, and funky things that you didn't expect could happen when you're flying. And can you make decisions accordingly? And that's one of the things that I apply as I'm getting pilots to think and everything. Just kind of what might that look like, and what might you do, how might you respond, and things like that. So just something to think about, though.
As always, thank you so much, Frandy. Coaching for Relevance. Look them up. Check out the book. Movie to come soon. And can't wait till you come to New York. And thank you again for always being such a gentleman, uh, full of knowledge, and just a kind person. Thank you again.
Well, I tell you what, it's always an honor to be here with you, Jill. I appreciate who you are, my friend.
Whatever you say, how does it go? Bounces off of me, back to you. I remember that thing from childhood, but ditto, 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 right back to you. So, yeah,
there, you,
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there,
Perfect.
there you go, friend.
Bye, darling.
Take care.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.